Welcome back. You're tuning in to Patriot Podcast,
the podcast of Sandy Creek, where we bring you what's happening around campus and give students a voice. I'm Daniela.
And I'm Aaliyah. Big thanks to Luca, our editor, who always makes sure this podcast is ready for y'all to hear.
Today's episode is special due to a certain holiday this month.
It's October, so it's almost Halloween, so we thought it would be a fun idea to talk about two popular movies during this time of the month.
We will be going over the artistic views, popularity, and assumptions some people may have not yet considered.
It won't just be us speaking our opinions, but we'll have short interviews with our teacher and a few students.
So I hope any Halloween movie lovers are ready for this episode.
Let's start with this question. Why do many people think Tim Burton directed both The Nightmare Before Christmas and Coraline?
It comes down to branding, names, and marketing. The Nightmare Before Christmas was marketed as Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas. That name stuck hard.
And because Coraline and Nightmare share that dark gothic aesthetic, people assume Burton made them both, but that assumption is wrong.
The real director is actually Henry Selick. Burton conceived the story and characters of Nightmare, but Selick is the one who actually directed it.
Because Burton was busy filming Batman Returns at the time and didn't want to commit to the hard-working process of stop motion, he essentially handed over the directing role.
In the Netflix show The Movies That Made Us, there's talk about how Burton's involvement was limited, mostly in concept and character design, but not day-to-day direction.
That's the kind of touch most people miss.
The Nightmare Before Christmas was released in 1993. Selick, with his team, led the stop-motion production.
They constructed hundreds of puppets and faces. Jack Skellington alone had dozens of heads and expressions.
The process was slow. Every frame is a photograph of a puppet slightly moved. For a 76-minute film, that's tens of thousands of frames.
The movie was co-produced by Disney, but they essentially thought it might be too dark for the typical Disney family movies.
It was even shot partially on 20 sound stages at the same time.
One interesting fact, Selick later said Burton only visited production a couple of times, over 2 years, sometimes a little as 10 days total. That day-to-day job fell on Selick and his team.
Even in that, Selick said he had to make it look like a Tim Burton film, because that's what people expected. But he also said that Burton was rarely hands-on during the filming stages.
Now fast forward to 2009, Coraline, from Laika Studios, directed by Henry Selick, based on the book by Neil Gaiman, made in 2002.
It was Laika's first feature film, and it showed out. They used a combination of traditional stop motion with new technology, 3D printing for facial components, and holographic 3D for depth.
Coraline had over 24 facial expression replacements carefully created.
It was also nominated for an Academy Award for Best Animated Feature.
On the award side, Coraline won Annie Awards for Best Music in an Animated Film, Best Character Design, and Best Production Design.
Laika itself went on to be known for pushing the art of stop motion forward. Their films often get Oscar nominations for Best Animated Feature.
So we have two movies, same director, different vibe. Let's talk about what each one brings.
Nightmare Before Christmas blends Halloween and Christmas worlds. It's playful, musical, and has that fantasy crossover appeal.
Coraline, on the other hand, is darker and more psychological. A young girl discovers a parallel world that seems perfect until it's not.
Selick uses lighting, scale, and textures heavily. In Nightmare, you have a big, spooky silhouette. In Coraline, there are small details, hidden doors, and miniatures that feel like they could trap you.
Also, Nightmare often switches to musical and theatrical structures. Many scenes are just like an act. Coraline is more narrative, more about the tension and mood.
In short, Nightmare is a bold fantasy. Coraline is a creepy, dark fairy tale. Over the years, Nightmare Before Christmas became a holiday key movie. People revisit it both at Halloween and Christmas.
Coraline, though, has a steady reappearance with younger audience, social media, edits, fan theories. It's all born itself in our generation.
Many assume Coraline is scarier and more mature, which may be why younger people are drawn to it.
Nightmare has the nostalgia, Coraline has the timeless mystery. We talked with Mr. White, our film teacher, to dig deeper into these films. Mr. White, as someone who teaches film and broadcast, what stands out to you about Selick's work in Nightmare Before Christmas and Coraline?
Well, I think what stands out to me about Selick's work is the characters' expressions and the facial features. Also, there's a definite stylistic look that works across all of those films, and you can definitely see his hand in not just Nightmare Before Christmas and not just Coraline, but also James and the Giant Peach. There's a pretty consistent look to each of the characters. I think looks like he's probably influenced by German Expressionism, as is Tim Burton's work. And so I think that's why they work well together and why they've had such a collaborative, they've collaborated well in the past. But I think he also does a very good job, I think, of creating the world of those characters and making that world sometimes as surreal and imaginative as it is, makes it feel like a real place. The attention to detail in Nightmare Before Christmas, I think, really helps sell the idea that Halloween Town and Christmas Town could exist, and helps draw the audience into that story. And the same in Coraline. In Coraline, the environment is as much a character, I think, as a lot of the characters in the story. Coming to, the house itself has character. The outside of the house and the garden has character. So all of those attention to detail, I think, really stand out in Selig's work.
Thanks, Mr. White. Your insight makes us see both films in a new light.
We also asked 2 students in our class, one who prefers Coraline and one who prefers Nightmare Before Christmas, why they like their pick.
We're here with Cadence. What about Coraline made you like it?
I like the style of the movie, and the plot is very interesting to follow.
We're here with Dalen. Why is Nightmare Before Christmas your favorite?
Me personally, I like The Nightmare Before Christmas because it's just such a great movie. It has such a great plot, and I haven't watched Coraline, so.
Now let's return to the question many people ask. Why didn't Burton direct Nightmare himself?
According to sources like the making of Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas and Disney's and Selig's interviews, he was tied with directing Batman Returns and in pre-production on Ed Wood at the same time.
Also, the process of stop motion is extremely slow and hands-on. Burton probably didn't want to commit to that level of involvement.
Selig said he only visited occasionally. The job fell on Selig and his team.
So Burton's name is part of the story, concept, and characters, but Selig's the one who directed the filmmaking.
Coraline in The Nightmare Before Christmas shows how much craft, vision, and patience goes into stop motion.
Henry Selig may not always get the credit, but his work built worlds people still talk about decades later.
Thanks to Mr. White and the students for talking to us, and for you for tuning in.
This has been the Patriot Podcast.
I'm Aaliyah.
And I'm Daniela, and don't forget, once a Patriot, always a Patriot.